What's going on, guys? I hope you're doing well. Today is going to be a bit more of a technical video. We're going to be breaking down Ethereum, talking about technical price predictions and how price is moving, understanding acceleration, deceleration, and all of the different intricacies of momentum and how it functions on a technical price-based level. And the reason for that is because I love technical analysis, and I've been doing that for many years. It's definitely an area that I am much more proficient in than doing research on the background of companies and stuff like that. And whilst I don't think I'm necessarily bad, I'm much better at technical. So hopefully you are going to enjoy this video, and it will give you a little bit of an insight. But as always, it's not financial advice. This is all just my opinion and the way that I personally perceive things. So always do your own due diligence. But before we get into that, I first of all wanted to start with this post here on Cointelegraph, which was crypto has gone from weird to cool thanks to NFTs, says the Visa executive. Now, this is huge. Visa and MasterCard have both shown a lot of signs of, adopting crypto, both with Visa, I believe it was Visa buying like $150,000 crypto punk, and MasterCard making some really good announcements recently for NFTs. And so again, I just wanted to start here just because it's another bullish sign, and for me it's one of the biggest signs in the last day or two. And so I wanted to share that with you. Second one, in terms of NFTs as well, is the National Chess Federation is the first global sports association with its own NFT marketplace. These are all just adoption related pieces of news. And if you do want to get up to date with this news faster than you see it in these videos, then just go to cointelegraph.com. There are a few other cool websites, but this is probably the main one that I use. It can be a little bit delayed, but you can break down the news by, the coin, Bitcoin, Ethereum, altcoins, blockchain, business, policy, regulations, adoption, DeFi, and NFTs. And you can go ahead and do all the other things if you want, but the main thing that I'm focused on Cointelegraph is the news. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into it. So my chart looks a little bit messy right now. So let's move this up, and we'll focus on the actual elements of price first and foremost. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is Ethereum price predictions. Okay, now this is going to be solely technical because I've done a lot of the fundamental research, and I will make a video on that if you guys would like to see that. So let me know in the comments, kind of talking about how I'm seeing everything. But just from a purely technical basis, in terms of price predictions, we'll start there. So drawing a fib, so just a Fibonacci from the absolute low that was made from the inception of when Ethereum got onto this exchange here, all the way up to the all-time high at the time. That is where I'm drawing the level from, because that is the range that we are working with. Now, these fib extensions, if you don't know what a fib extension is, it's simply an extension of this. So if the distance here is, okay, so we can see here that it's about, okay, so it's about 1400, right? So now, because this is -2 up here, that simply means it's going to be double this extended out. So if we had two of these, oh God, it's never easy, is it, to handle these things? And if we go number 2, you can see pretty much that is bang on the 2. And so that's all we're dealing with here. Now, the reason that I drew this out is because this was my reference point. Obviously, it's difficult to make price predictions just out of thin air. You can make them based on, where you think the industry is going to be at. But again, these are just estimations. And so what I like to do is I like to combine as many different confluencing factors, both technical and fundamental, to build my opinion. But we can see that from using this previous bull run to predict the bull run that we've just had, we can see that it landed and price came pretty much perfectly to that 2 times point. Now, following that exact same logic, if we were to draw from the lowest point since this high right here, so let's just mark this out. So since the high, let's make this a bit of a nicer color. I'll get a bit OCD with my colors sometimes. So from this point down to here, this was the lowest point, and then all the way up to this current high up here. Okay, why am I drawing it from this high and not the high up here? Well, because this hasn't finished. This move has not finished. And we know that when there's a big correction like this, this solidifies this point up here as a point of significance to me. This is a high, a valid high in my book. And therefore, that is why I'm pinpointing the range. Now, if we do the exact same thing that we did over here, which you've already done, And then we look at these levels up here. So the first kind of more conservative level for me would be about 11.2K. And then looking up here, so reaching about 13K for Bitcoin, I see as, I mean, for Bitcoin, for Ethereum, I see very, very likely. Now, this is just using fib extensions, nothing else. But keep in mind, the fundamentals behind this, in my opinion, are massively supporting this in terms of the adoption of Ethereum, the supply and the burning of Ethereum. There are so many different things that go into this. If you would like to see a video on this, then please do let me know. Okay, so let's go back to the weekly now. And I want to quickly spend some time understanding momentum, because I know that a lot of people who follow this channel are currently a little bit more news-based, maybe not so much technical. I haven't seen that many good technical videos in the crypto space. To be fair, I haven't really been looking, but yeah, I just haven't seen any particularly great ones. And so I want to talk about a few different phases, okay? So the first phase is going to be the trending phase. Okay, and so this is trending right here, and I'm going to draw a line at about here. Okay, now why have I drawn that line here? Because the pace, okay, you can see how the pace begins to change. It kind of begins to slow down. Let's get rid of that last one. It's a little bit messy. So you can see here, price is going in this kind of, if we were to connect the lows here, it's kind of initially going at a decent pace, but then it begins to slow after this point right here. It begins to slow and the angle begins to go like this. Now, that's essentially the same as something falling at this speed and then slowly curving down. What do you think that curvature is showing you? It is simply showing you a deceleration in price. Now, what this is often going to lead to is it is going to be where smart money, where larger institutions and flows of money are accumulating their positions. Because as I've discussed in other videos, in order for these larger flows of money to get involved, because of the size of their positions, they can't just buy and sell anywhere like us. If we wanted to buy, sell, because their positions are so large, they need two things, okay? They need buyers to sell to. So if they want to sell their positions, there needs to be enough buyers in the market. This is why with pump and dumps, when prices are absolutely going parabolic, then they'll suddenly just dump. That's because when everyone's FOMOing in and more buyers are getting in, the smart money, the educated, informed money is just going to sell off to all of those new scared buyers, okay? And so buyers to sell to and then sellers to buy from. Very, very simple, okay? And so what this means is it means that they are engineering, or not necessarily engineering, but when there comes a point when there are a massive amount of sellers in the market, for example, and they are overall bullish on the asset, whatever that is, Ethereum in this case, and they see a lot of sellers in the market and they're bullish, then they're just seeing that as a discounted price. They're getting in at a better price, and so they will begin to accumulate their positions. This can really happen in one massive trade. Often it is lots of smaller ones, and so generally these flows, these switches over from bearish to bullish is going to take a little bit of time, not always, but often it will do. Okay, now if we look at how price is dumped when it's sold, you can see it moves very aggressively down after a very aggressive move up. Now, this is significant because the way that people get out of positions and sell is going to be a lot easier, to my knowledge, than it is to accumulate buys, and there's less need to just to kind of hide it, I guess you could say, because if you're accumulating buys, although you can read the signals very clearly on the chart, they don't want prices to just bolt up immediately, because that would influence the market. Now, of course, that point is kind of a little bit redundant in markets with huge amounts of liquidity, because ultimately, the bigger the market cap, the more money it takes to move these markets. But the long and short of it is right here, okay, is we've got acceleration, then we've got deceleration, which is also combined with the switch over of power. Then we begin going trending and trending. And then after that, we enter the parabolic phase. Okay, so the parabolic phase, I don't really have a particular way to identify how long it's going to last or anything like that. Ultimately, there is a lot of speculation involved. However, after the parabolic phase, we do know that we most of the time enter a deep correction, or in some cases a just complete collapse. Okay, so with those new very small low cap altcoins, often this is a classic pump and dump. You see huge parabolic moves and then it just crashes to zero and everyone gets trapped and can't get out. Okay, And then after this, if prices are predisposed to go higher, then prices will more than often go out and take out that all-time high, and they will repeat the cycle. This cycle will repeat itself within this correction on a smaller scale, and prices will eventually begin to go a little bit more parabolic like this, and then the exact same thing will repeat until something fundamentally changes with the asset class, not the asset class, the asset itself. And that could mean that it could completely collapse. It could just be doing a deeper correction, just could be in a bear market before a bull move. These are all elements that I find it not too helpful to look too far into the future for. And so translating this into what we see right now. So let's get rid of these vertical lines so that when we go down, we're not looking at some sort of, weird hieroglyphics on the chart. So we can see that we took out these all-time highs above here. Okay, so these were the all-time highs right here, and we're on the daily chart right now, and we can see we had a very nice clean breakout. We came down, we had multiple rejections. If we zoomed in and we looked on what was happening, because remember what I was talking about in terms of institutions accumulating positions, we see it right here: liquidity, 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 blah, 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 also in some liquidity within here, and then we start breaking these structural levels to the upside. This is again a sign that that was a liquidity grab, and then prices have a willingness to go higher, and so prices then do continue to go up. Okay, just get rid of that little bit of mess. But we also see this. So this is what I would consider the macro scale accumulation. Okay, but you also have micro, because the markets, depending on the time frame you're on, are going to have lots of different accumulations and distributions. So the accumulation is accumulating buys, and the distribution is distributing sells. You can see we have a very small scale distribution within here, for example. So I'm just going to highlight this area right here, and I'm going to go down to the 30-minute so that you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, this is just an example. There's nothing especially amazing about this area. Okay, so this isn't the best example I've seen, but it does have a lot of those characteristics. Again, we can see that prices are beginning to slow down a little bit here. They're kind of just forming. You could even see this as a reaccumulation pattern up here, and then up here we see the climax, we see it coming down, and then we see these lows being broken down here. Now on my FX channel, I break these sorts of patterns down in a hell of a lot more detail, but I'm not doing that in crypto for a reason. I'm just looking at things in terms of momentum. I'm looking at it simply. I'm not trying to pinpoint everything like I would be in FX. It's a lot more macro for me. Now, just to keep things simple right here, if we go down to where price is currently at, and this point where it broke down here, okay, we can see the same sort of thing here. Prices are being accumulated down here, taking out the lows, and then engineering and taking out those highs in order to continually see prices go higher. This is a very, very bullish sign for Ethereum, and it shows that we are comfortably breaking above those higher lows, above the highs. So let me just get rid of these. We're comfortably breaking above. Now, if we also look at the momentum of how price has moved, okay, so we'll first of all start from the lowest point since the last correction. So we've got something like this, okay. Since that point, we have now entered a increased acceleration. You can see the difference in acceleration here. Now, what do I think is more than likely? It's very, very difficult to say at this point, but if Ethereum keeps moving the way that it does, and if we keep seeing the movement that we have seen, I would be very surprised if we came down here anytime soon. I would much more likely be expecting a little bit more of a parabolic move, and then maybe a return to some sort of line right here, and then continuing going up. But we may not even get that, or we could just see it just come down straight away down here, maybe even come down, and then we enter a bear market. Again, it is just speculation at this point, but based on how price is moving, the great thing about price, the reason that I love price is because you get notified when things change. If you understand how to read when directions are shifting, and you know what to look for, namely the last higher low before a higher high, and you look and you monitor how price is behaving, it's going to be much, much easier to see when things are changing around. Because remember, because it's a larger market cap, it's much harder to have huge, unpredictable dumps. Much more likely that it is going to come and show a few signals of going bearish first before having a little bit more of an aggressive move. Now, not always, but probabilistically, that is what's going to happen most of the time. Okay, and so with Ethereum, I'm not necessarily using trend lines here. I'm much more interested in horizontal levels, more specifically the market structure levels. So if you look at this on a line chart, for example, it becomes very, very clear to see, you know, we've got higher low here, higher low here, higher low here, higher low here, etc. Now, this is from the candle close, not the wick. But these are going to be the points of reference. More specifically, the most recent 1 to 3. Those are going to be very, very key areas for me to look at, because when I see that they start breaking, what is that showing me? It's showing me that it's got a willingness to go lower, which means that there's been some sort of shift in sentiment. Okay, especially because we are still, you know, fairly close above these all-time highs. I know a lot of people will, you know, see a break of an all-time high and then just be like, oh, it's going up like forever, like, you know, it's just, oh, it's bolting. That's not always true. It can always come back down. Now, that might be some of my bias from the FX markets and shifting that over to crypto. I'm completely aware of that. But that's just what I see. And to be honest with you, I'm just monitoring Ethereum very, very closely. I am a long-term investor in Ethereum. However, hopefully when we reach, if we reach 10K, I will be rolling out some more profits, but I am very long term, but I'm just more excited for the bear market than anything else, so that I can really start accumulating some more positions in this. So hopefully that has made sense, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know if you did by smashing the like button, or if you didn't, and smash the dislike button. I'd prefer it if you didn't do that, but you know, whatever, do what you got to do, guys. And yeah, if you've got any content ideas, or if you'd like to see more technical videos like these, and breaking down exactly how to read momentum, how to trade it, and all that sort of stuff, then by all means, let me know in the comment section below, because I'd love to hear what you guys would like to see. But anyway, guys, have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.